I went through the doors of Texas State Technical College, the Waco campus, and I went with an unemployment check. That's how I got my start in trade. I was a very unmotivated student. Life life didn't stop just because I decided to start getting my life together. There's a learning curve when you get out into the field, and you're
Hmm.
gonna have one regardless of how your school experience is, whether it's this big or whether it's this big. And my learning curve was a direct result of my inability to focus while I was in school. It took me being in the hospital for 3 weeks and having like a come to Jesus moment about what I was doing and whether I was in it or not in it.
Hola, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Reliable Trades podcast. If you guys are watching this on YouTube, make sure you subscribe and you like this video. And if you're listening to this on the audio over on Spotify, Apple Podcast, or any other platform, please leave a review. That's all free and it helps support the show and helps it get out to more people. And of course, I'm your host, Adrian Garcia. I am an HVAC technician, licensed contractor here in Texas, and I've been doing this about 18 years. And we just have a lot of good conversations with good people in different trades now, whether it's HVAC, plumbing, electrical. I've had some others in like auto mechanics, anything like that. You bring them on, have a good conversation, and hopefully get more trade awareness out there. I also want to thank our new sponsors, CallRail. So I've been more into marketing and just online presence with our business, even though we only do commercial. Word of mouth is really good for any business. But once you get to a place where you want to be, a big name online or just anywhere, be recognizable, like I said, online presence, have a nice website, be able to be searchable in Google and all these different search engines, and just have a big presence. You need to know where to spend your money, and all I'm going to say is that CallRail can help you track that if that's something that you're interested in. CallRail can tell you, hey, these are not working so much. These are working really good. Stop spending your money here. Put more money and effort into this, and just be smarter about what you spend. So make sure you go by callrail.com. They do have a no risk free trial and you can check it out for yourself. And when you're doing your day-to-day work, you got to make bids, you got to do those quotes. I think one of the things that we have to deal with now is finding and pricing out parts. And that's why I wanted to tell you guys about We Supply Trades. They are a family owned online distributor with over 90 years of experience in HVAC, hydronics, and the plumbing world. And if you need parts quickly, they have a massive inventory, which I've been told they've been adding to weekly. You can order by 3:30 p.m. Eastern and get it shipped same day. They have their pro membership, which is not only free, but you also get the benefit of better pricing, free shipping over $99, free returns. And for my listeners, you get a bonus of 15% off your first order with code reliable15. And if you're looking for a supplier who truly understands your world, please go check out wesupplytrades.com. I'll leave my exclusive link down in the description. And these guys just get it. Local HQ is a marketing that is geared towards the trades, proven strategies that get your business more leads. They can help you rank higher on Google and all that you would need. So reach out to them at localhq.com/reliable and mention me or the Reliable Trades podcast and get 2 months of SEO for free. All right, man. Thank you for making the time here on our podcast. Can you give us a quick rundown who you are and what you do?
Yeah, my name is Mac, and I go by the name HVAC Mac on social media. I'm in the Dallas, Texas market, born and raised in Central Texas in Waco.
That's cool, man. So, uh, from what I understand, you teach and you also kind of have another job as well. Uh, how did or what kind of class or what school do you teach at? Like, is it a college level? Or is it what kind of HVAC or trade school is it?
Yeah, so I've been teaching at trade colleges in the Metroplex for it's getting close to 2 years now. been field training for a couple years, also in the Metroplex. It is a accredited college that I won't name. It's a, what do we say? It's a unnamed institution in the Dallas Fort Worth marketplace. I do that
Okay.
at night. On the weekends, I do
Oh,
field training with a buddy, and during the day, my full time job, I work in a research lab for a major manufacturer that's based out of Dallas in their research facility.
that's cool stuff. Did you? How long have you been in the trade in general? This HVAC trade.
So I'll keep it all the way real with everybody. In January of 17, I went through the doors of Texas State Technical College, the Waco campus, and I went with an unemployment check. That's how I got my start in the trade. And then I ended up failing a semester, having to take 6 months off, and I graduated in May of 2019 with an associate's degree in applied science from Texas State Technical College. So, uh, 8 years total, 6 years as a graduate.
So you said you put that unemployment check towards your basically going to school. How
Did I
how
did.
how did you end up there? Like actually, you know, what were you going through at that point? And then like what made you get into HVAC or just the trade school in general?
Well, I grew up in Waco, so TSTC has always been one of the major employers and schools in our area. So I even lived on that campus when I was a child. My dad went to butcher school there. So I've always known about it. I've always known it's been there. I ended up there after failing to be a international successful DJ in Austin, Texas.
Oh, really?
Uh, yeah, I tried it, man. I was a veteran DJ and a bouncer on Sixth Street, and my time with that came to an end. And I had a whole bunch of odd jobs in Austin. I was cutting grass on a landscaping crew. I worked in a call center. I worked for AutoZone. Uh, I came back home, kind of struggling through life, and my dad kind of helped me get into school. My mom, my sister, and at the time, Craigslist was still a thing. I needed a
Oh yeah.
job when I moved back to Waco, and they were all $9, $10 an hour. It was all dead end jobs, and so with the urging of my father, I went through the doors of TSTC, and they asked me to pick a trade, and I was this close to going back to welding because I'd done that before in middle school. And at the last minute, I switched up and went to AC, and it's one of the best decisions I've ever made.
How was that? How was the program? Did you enjoy it? Did you I don't know, learn a lot? Did you get what you thought you would get out of it?
I will again keep that honest. Um, I was a very unmotivated student. Life, life didn't stop just because I decided to start getting my life together.
Mhm.
So I was in some relationships that were troubled, miscarriages and things like that. And I didn't put any effort into school. I didn't gain anything from it. I didn't. I barely showed up to class. When I did show up, I wasn't taking notes, paying attention, doing labs, and frankly, my classmates left me behind a lot. They carried me through a lot of that stuff, and I regret that because there's a learning curve when you get out into the field, and you're
Mhm.
gonna have one regardless of how your school experience is, whether it's this big or whether it's this big. And my learning curve was a direct result of my inability to focus while I was in school. And so it cost me some years.
I went through trade school. My brother went through trade school, and it is a help. And like you said, it depends on how much you apply yourself during that time. But once you get out into the trade and the real stuff, that's always the tougher part. And I was also, I mean, I kind of do regret not taking it more serious in the beginning too, because when I started, I was 20. My dad had a business, so he does like the food service, and he used to be an electrician, and I got into the trade because he was like, hey, I could use like an AC guy, right? Because he wanted to do like everything in one company, and it's been good for us. That's how we stay competitive. But yeah, when I started, dude, like I was 20, I was like, I don't want to be here. I want to get out, go on the weekends, hang out with my friends, stay up late, like do everything else but work. Uh, and I was just good at fixing stuff, so that kind of messed me up too. Where I was like, I can do it. I'm pretty good at it. What else do I need to do? Right? I didn't apply myself as much as I should have because now I see kids that are like 18, 19. I've even interviewed some that are 16 doing way better than I did my first like 5, 6 years, right? Like I feel like I wasted that time. And I got serious afterwards, and then that's when I kind of hit the ground running. But it's a whole different experience when you get out there in the field.
Absolutely. Yeah, I had some great teachers when I was there, and I took advantage of none of them. I didn't let them push me. I didn't ask them questions. I didn't challenge them to be better instructors. I basically just went through the motions, kind of like I did in high school, to be honest with you. Uh, yeah, and what it took for me to actually get serious about this trade was uh, I kept getting fired and disrespected and treated like a person who didn't know what they were doing because I didn't. And
Hmm.
what it took for me was I had a nasty staph infection in this pinky 5 years ago, September. I had surgery September 11th, 2020, where I lost a piece of my pinky. Um, it took me being in the hospital for 3 weeks and having like a come to Jesus moment about what I was doing and whether I was in it or not in it. And uh, ever since that moment, I've been a changed person about as far as the trade goes. And I want young people not to have to go through that experience in the hospital before the light turns on for them. You know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because I tell people too, like you need to honestly, you need to figure it out sooner than later. Because I was in that boat, just didn't know what I wanted to do, but I was very like into sports, so basketball was a big thing for me, and I was always like, "Oh, I'm gonna do something with that," and my parents were like, "You should really think about something else, right?" Uh, not everybody can be an athlete, a professional athlete, or I know you mentioned DJing. I had another guy that I interviewed who was doing really good touring, and then that got shut down, and he lost everything, and it's just you never know what happens, right? So a trade it's nothing to be looked down on. It's always going to be there. Whatever trade you pick, I prefer HVAC in general, but um, whatever you pick, it's always going to be there, and it's good. It's a good thing to get into. So get telling these kids right now, to take it serious. It's always a hard thing, but like I said, I wish I had taken it more serious when I started because I would have been like years ahead of everybody else because I thought I was there, and I used to compete. I know we mentioned before the show, like I used to compete with the older technicians and butt heads and stuff, and I could have been way better in everything if I had just taken it more serious, maybe listened to a few of them and done it a different way.
Yeah, and I'm gonna speak mostly to the younger technicians because that's who I train. Maybe 2 to 3 years and down. A lot of times when they get to me, they're young, they're 19, they're 20, maybe early adults, 22 max. And what I see is I see a bunch of youngsters that haven't actually gone in 100% on anything to that point till I've gotten them, or to the point where I've gotten them. And if I could just get at least one to just, hey man, maybe do this the way that you do a new video game when it drops. Let's take Call of Duty. All these kids play Call of Duty, right? It drops, and within a week, they know all the camping spots. They know all the buttons, and I can't believe it because they sit in front of me and they swear up and down they can't learn nothing new, but they do it every time that a new Call of Duty drops. So if we can just get them to just have some pride about it and go through the motions and trust that not all your educators are out here to take the easy route. Some of us are really competitive at this thing and we want you in our craft. We need you. We need your help. We can't keep up
Yeah.
with the work. So take it
N-
seriously and listen to the older men. I know I sound like the old man on my soapbox preaching to young people, get off my lawn or whatever, but um, It really is. Everything that you want from life and from this trade is right in front of you if you just go out there and take it. If you just
But
go get it.
it's not easy. You gotta want it, because I've dealt with that. Now being the older guy, now being the older tech, I always feel weird. I've been doing this almost 20 years now, so now I see everybody else coming in, and I see it with my son too. I mean, you mentioned the video games. My son immediately knows how to do all this stuff, and I'm like, because like with school and with other things, he doesn't click. He's like, I can't do this, I can't do that, and then like he blows me away with the stuff that he knows about, like video games and all these things that he does like as hobbies. I'm like, you applied yourself for that, but you're not applying yourself for school. So there's a whole discussion there to be had. But I have a little brother that's with us too. I'm one of three. My youngest
That's so
brother
cool.
is a video gamer too, so he gets on my nerves sometimes, because he took a while to kind of apply himself as well, because he would stay up playing video games all night, and I'm like, dude, we have work in the morning. I was like, get your shit together, basically, right? Like,
Yeah.
um, because and it's just what I went through too, because I didn't come from a broken home or anything like that. Like, I just had a discussion with another guy. Like, it's different times. Like, I used to be out on my own all the time, walking the streets, hanging out with people, doing different things, and I mean, I wouldn't let my kid do that now, but I always like I used to walk my brothers home. I used to walk back to school because I really wanted to go to basketball practice, and like I made it happen, right? And then when I started in the trade, when I started working for my dad, I was also somebody that stayed up late, but I was up at 6 in the morning, or whenever they were going to pick me up, because I was the apprentice. I was like, I made sure I was up. I changed. I woke up, I changed, got ready, and I'm there in the dining room with my head down, taking a little nap while I waited to get picked up. But I was ready. And my brother got on my nerves because he was always up late and he was never ready. It's like, dude, apply yourself. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah. The bar for our thing is so incredibly low. What I preach consistently to most new entries into our trade is, man, all you really got to do is be on time, ask questions, and be a helpful helper.
Dude,
If you just do those three things, man, we can do so much with you. But
I've told people, unfortunately, that's all it takes to be, successful or good at this, is just a little bit of effort.
that's it. Just come to work and be a pleasant person to be around while you're there. We don't need another person on the job site that's going to remind us that it's hot and miserable outside. We know that. It doesn't make anything any easier.
I I
What
hate
would
when
make it easier
I hate
is
when the
if you go
customer.
get me a bottle of water, young fella.
Oh yeah, or yeah, be helpful, right? What
Yeah,
do we need next? What do we need for
yeah.
this or that? I hate when the customer comes up to me and it's like, "Oh, it's hot outside, isn't it?" That always gets me.
I try
Yeah.
to make joke of it, and it's like, it's all right because it's a mental thing, right? It's the moment
Oh
that
yeah.
you start agreeing with them. Yeah, it's hot is the moment it becomes hot.
I also want to thank DiversiTech. They simplify your work. They have everything a contractor needs to complete a job. That goes from equipment mounting, condensate, management, tools, maintenance chemicals, electrical components, indoor air quality, and much more. They have different branches under the same umbrella. More than likely, you're already using some of their products or tools. So go check out diversitech.com, and it's your one stop shop for everything HVAC. I'm on rooftops all day and going up and down ladders and stuff. I got to kind of plan out how I take breaks, because I also don't want the call to take too long, but I also can't just work straight through everything, because then you're gonna feel it later.
That's a hard equilibrium to try to get to, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, again, my dad, my grandfather, the toughest people I've ever known, and they were my dad still. Recently, he's been better, but he works through lunch. He doesn't take a break. He doesn't do this and that. My grandfather was the same way, and that's kind of how I was taught and raised, right? So, um, and I know that's a whole macho mentality and this and that. Like, you got to get the work done, and just do whatever it takes. So I've kind of had to balance it because there's been times where I'm like, oh crap, I don't feel good. Like, it's 110 outside or whatever. And not only, I mean, I'm not an addict, so I don't have to deal with that, but I'm going up and down the ladder. Oh, I got to go get this from the van. Oh, I got to go get that. And pulling up motors and pulling up stuff, different things that we need. And that's not easy. And I tell my guys, because like I said, I run a business. So I tell my guys, like, if you need a break, take a break. I don't want you passed out on the rooftop.
It's good as an instructor. Like, I really appreciate you preaching that to the people that you interact with. I think it's our responsibility as some of the younger people. I'm gonna include myself in that, even though I'm 40. Right? We've got to break that habit because that also was passed on to me from the older techs, where it's just this mentality of you're weak or something.
Yeah.
And I think it's up to us to kind of break that and to kind of get away from that and kind of preach this safety, especially with the heat. There's 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 no need for us to play with that the way that the older generations played with that. So I really appreciate that.
I've been telling people because I'm from that mentality because of the way I was raised, but I know it's not right. Like you can't do it, and I can't expect because my brother works with us. We have some older guys that work for us, and I can't, put them in that situation. And we've even, and my dad knows now to let everybody, or to ease up on people because he's never been hard on any of us. But like we have apprentices right now. One of them's doing really well. He's older, but he's an apprentice, and he gets he gets frustrated. He doesn't know everything yet, and he's learning, and it's new to him. And he was on a job the other day all day trying to figure out like a small reach-in cooler, and understandably so. I always tell people the smaller the equipment is, sometimes the harder it is to work on because they're all finicky and stuff. And my dad's like, "Why are you still hitting your head against the wall there? Can you go take a lunch? Take a break, calm down, get back to it after." And then I went out there to help him out too, and we got it going. But that's the whole thing, right? You don't want to, because I've talked to other guys that don't want to disappoint their boss or whoever it is, or they want that pay raise or this and that, and they feel like they have to work themselves into the ground to do it. And that's not really because I get upset more if our guys push through too much or try to run too many calls and rush and get frustrated or they just rushing through things, and then callbacks start coming in, right? And I feel like that's even worse. And then them not being in the clear headspace to even do the job that they're supposed to. That's to me that's worse.
Culture breaking and culture establishing is something that's really important. Uh, I used to be a technician that felt some of those same pressures, and what I've realized as I've evolved and kind of gotten a more, what is that, macro viewpoint of how we run our thing. Man, it was the culture that I was in that made it
Hmm.
feel that way. I knew better. I came up playing sports too. I knew the importance of Texas heat and water breaks and all that stuff, but it was the culture that we worked in, and I think it's very paramount for us coming up newer than some of these older folks that we stand up for the people that come up behind us. Where it's we lead by example, we take the breaks, we force the water upon people, um, we stop at a parts house and we buy the Klein branded baklava, I guess that is, or whatever that net gaither thing is. And we
Yeah.
buy that and we just give it to the apprentice. Just give it to him. Like, here, kid, you had a good week. One of those things. Like, well, how do I use this, man? I don't know. There's instructions on there. You can figure it out, right? You're a troubleshooter, right?
Yeah,
But
I
I just think
actually just picked up some gators for the guys too because they were like, man, we want some of those because I wear everything too, long sleeves, gators, big hat. And I'm like, you
yeah,
guys need this. You guys need this stuff. And I tell them where to find it. But if they can't find it, I'll go and get it. But yeah, you got to take care of yourself because it's like you said, it was a culture thing. It's what you learn. It's like from the older generation. Um, and it's yeah, it's not right. It's just it's different.
it is, and trust me. the reason that I kind of am the way I am is I had a what I call an OG kind of take his arms around me when I came into the trade and did stuff like that for me. When you pass that spirit down and you do things like that for younger technicians, they remember that stuff. I mean, I know I certainly do. The whole reason why I take that approach is because somebody did that for me, and so I think
Yeah.
there's more people like that in the trade than not in the trade. So
Yeah. And
keep doing what you're doing.
I remember the guy that I learned from too. And he didn't like too many people. I don't know. He said he saw, I don't know his exact words, but he saw something in me. He's like, no, he understands, he gets it. He's gonna do well. Cause he was he's the OG that I know, and he was like always giving everybody crap and breaking everybody's balls, and that's just who he was. But I learned a lot from him because he was actually helpful to me, and he basically took me under his wing, and he gave me all the little tips, all the tricks that he does to get out of a bind, for because we do more like refrigeration stuff, and I got stumped a lot in the beginning, and he was there to kind of give me that help and show me how to do things, even if it was in a pinch, do this way or that way. I still use some of those tips to this day, and I remember him because he was a good mentor. um he gave everybody else crap, but he gave me a lot of help early on.
In my orbit, it's kind of mandatory that I'm going to give everybody crap, but it's just it's one of those things where it's because I like to say I'm hardcore HVAC, meaning that I came up in this trade the hard way. A lot of failure, done a lot of the niches, and so there's a lot of sarcasm. There's a lot of talking trash to you, but it's because there's something about you that I like.
Hmm.
But and where some of like you should be concerned if I don't talk trash to you, because if I'm real professional and short and to the point and no extra words or anything, that you should be concerned in, because that means that
Yeah.
yeah, I'm kind of not really into whatever you're bringing to the table.
I also want to thank the sponsors of the show, like Jobber, which is a CRM that we use to run our business, which is invoicing, quoting, scheduling jobs, maintenance contracts, and all our technicians on our team usually pick it up relatively quickly. I just have to show them what it is, and they are able to get out there and start, invoicing. It's been great running our business with Jobber now. And if you guys want a free trial and discount, make sure to check the link down below, getjobber.com/reliablehvacr. I also want to thank Vito Pro Pack, the best quality bags that money can buy, literally. If you invest in these bags, as I did during the whole pandemic, I ripped so many backpacks and tool pouches that I finally, I found Vito. I think there were some YouTube videos. So check out Vito Pro Pack at your supply house, or go to vitopropack.com to learn more.
Could we do better at like? Look, I get it. We all want to showcase what we know, and we want to prove that we're these great sources of knowledge and technical information, and that we're the authority in the room, and we've worked hard to be teachers, and we should wear jackets with the little leather things on the elbows and smoke out of smoking cigar like cigarette holders and stuff. We should do that, right? We're those kind of educators, and I think if we could pump the brakes on that and kind of reach these young people in a way like, look, man, as far as entry level techs go, hey man, you got to be on time. I'm less interested in your ability to turn a wrench. Like I'm way less interested in that if you don't show up on time. Like if we could just reach them and get them to do bare basic stuff correctly, put gloves on, be able to handle somebody talking to you in a manner that might be a little aggressive, because our trade is kind of that. We could do better as an entire industry with our young folks and quit running people away, um, just bombarding them with all this technical information of stuff they're not ready for. Year one, you got a whole bunch of entry level techs who might never had their ever had a tool set ever. We
Mm-hmm.
forget that. We forget that stuff, and we run them out talking about superheat and subcool and compression ratios and Santa Fe humidifiers and latent heat and CFM, and some of these guys just barely got through high school with a C average. Like, give them a minute, give them a second.
Yeah. See, like that's a whole I mean that's a whole conversation to have because yeah, I know we talked a little bit before. Like you said, you don't consider yourself like, the super technical that's going to go deep dive probably, right? You want to teach them to actually do the work or to understand it. And there's different ways to go about it. Cause I've always said that about myself too. I started posting online just to kind of, I mean, at first it was for my like business advertising. And I was like, this is completely different because I got people from all over the country, other countries at that, hitting me up. And I was like, okay, cool. There's like a community. So my whole thing was like, I don't want to be like the teacher that teaches, or I never wanted to be a teacher in general, but like, I'm not trying to teach you the technical stuff. This is what happens in the field, and it might not always be textbook, but that's the way, that it works. So I've always done that kind of content. And it seems like that's kind of what you're talking about there. But I was one that never had power tools, never had tools. I got into the trade like, screw it, I'm gonna try it out. My dad has a business doing something similar, so maybe we can do something. And I had those critiques when I started because I also started with my uncles when they were working for us or for my dad. And those that was always a critique. He's slow. He takes forever to take off the screws. He, doesn't know how to work a drill. He doesn't know how to do this, but he's learning. He's trying. That was always a critique. But the thing is, I maybe it's a competitive sport thing. I think I've made that comparison before. I always took that as a challenge. Like, I'm gonna be better next time. I'm gonna be better tomorrow, and that's what I try to tell people is like you said, like sometimes you get talked down on in this trade, and that's just a common thing. You got to like take it. There's a tough skin aspect to it, but the only person you have to compete with is yourself. And that's just day to day. As long as you're better the next day, you don't make the same mistake. I always tell people, don't worry about it. Don't worry about what anyone says. Don't worry about being that Instagram perfect install, people that you see, picture perfect, everything. Don't worry about that. You got to be better just day to day. And that's all you have to compete with.
Yeah, I have this saying, man, life is incredibly simple. We make it hard.
Mm-hmm.
And the all that you have to do at this thing of ours, the only thing that's required is that you be better tomorrow than you were today. That's it. And even if it is 0.00001% better tomorrow, that is still an improvement. That's still a win, and that should be celebrated. It should be the most important accomplishment of your life. That 1% better, because there are so many people. We could just keep it in our trade. There are so
Mm-hmm.
many people who day to day don't improve,
Yeah.
and so your willingness to improve by 1% every day is enough to beat a whole lot of people in our thing. And once you are 1% better tomorrow than you were today, guess what? The only other thing you have to do is do it again tomorrow. That's it. That's all. So maybe the first day you took screws off that panel, maybe it took you 8 minutes. Tomorrow, all it's got to do is take you 7 minutes and 59 seconds, and we should all be happy with that. That's
Yeah.
it, right?
Or just know the tools that we need, like you said, helpers, right? In general, like pay attention to the tools that we use for certain things, and next time you know what that tool is, or you're able to go get that from the van. Like, that's always my thing is like learn the tools and know what we need. That way that's one less thing that I have to think about, on the job. Like, you can go get that or whatever, or take the initiative. Some people don't take the initiative either to, hey, I want to do that this time, or I want to try that this time. And, I can't always ask, like, do you want to do this? Do you want to try? Like, you also have to take initiative to try things. And you talk about like, failure and failing and stuff. I feel like there's always, uh, you can't be scared to fail either because you're not going to know everything and you're going to screw up. I screwed up so many times when I started, and it would like haunt me. And if I didn't know anything or if I didn't fix something, I would go home after work. This was before like we had all this internet stuff, and I would try and find like a manual, try and find like, or go through my textbook or like try and find it somewhere. And I mean, that was something my dad always instilled in me was even him when he talked to a customer, he's like, I might not have the answer for you right now, but I'm sure gonna find it later, and I'm gonna get back to you. That's always his thing. Like, you can't quit. You gotta take the initiative, and then try to be better or try to find that answer later.
Well, that's where all the learning's at in the failure. That's where everything that you learn at. That's where all the character building's at. That's where all the that's where all the machismo comes from, in my opinion. And
Dude,
uh,
because in class they would call us, and I hated getting called on to do the brazing or do the charging because I always screwed up, and it was in front of everybody. But then I was like, okay, I know how to do it next time, or I know how it works now. Yeah, and that, like you said, that's how you learn. That's the only way.
so for one, I keep saying kids, even though some of these are young adults. Some of them are even my age, 30. I always say kids, but young people. Hey, sometimes you need to give them direction and guidance and tell them step by step, do this, do this, do this, do this. You have to treat them you have to treat them as if they don't know anything,
Hmm.
and kind of like put hands on them and caretake for them, and guide them along each step there, and just tell them, hey, you do this, you do this, right? And then the other thing, I, I've worn a basketball jersey on purpose, because one of the things I'm proudest of is I feel like I represent and look like a lot of the people that are in our craft. And I'm going to tell you something that somebody told me, and I believe it 100% in my heart. And I think our manufacturers believe this too. We're not looking for the people who do not fail, because those people don't exist. We're looking for the people who are going to be the first ones to go run to the challenge. We're looking for the ones that are sitting front and center in the meeting, the safety meetings. We're looking for the ones who safety meeting starts at 7, you're there at 6:15, front and center. That's all stuff that is 100% controllable with young technicians, and that's the stuff that we covet. That's it. We we don't have an expectation that you are going to be 100% flawless on everything you touch, with no callbacks and no mistakes. Every panel's got all 8 screws in it. That's unrealistic. That's not realistic. We're not even looking for that. You don't have to worry about being that. All you have to worry about is the stuff you can control, which is your attitude, your mindset, your willingness to like do as you're told sometimes, right? At some point when you're entering into this thing, you have to realize that if me and an entry level tech are on this same commercial roof, at that particular moment, I am the authority, because I've done this, I've done it safely, and I've proven that I can do it. So I don't need you to try to compete with me and show me that you can hang and all that. I just need you to be a soldier.
Yeah.
I need you to just run into the foxhole if I tell you to run into the foxhole. Why are we running in the foxhole? I don't know, sir. We're just running in the foxhole. And you do
See,
that enough, and you know, you will earn the right to have some of your freedom that you want. Meaning that, okay, I'm gonna stay in the van. You go handle this. I'll be up there in about 30 minutes. You go figure it out, right? But you gotta kind of demonstrate a willingness to kind of just be in, you know, be in.
it's like in sports when they say a person is coachable or not, right? Like you got to be that sometimes, especially when you start. Um,
God, I tell that to my students at the trade college. That's one of the most attractive qualities of a young technician is, are you coachable?
yeah.
God, I love that phrase. Anyway, I'm sorry.
No, it's just when I started, I did okay in trade school. I'm not a school person, so that's always been my thing. Like I just want to get out and do things, and I also failed a semester too because I was like screwing around. So I had to take an extra half year, whatever, and get all that done with, so I can get into the trade or in the field. And then once I got into the field, I kind of felt like I had a leg up. And another thing I've tried to tell a lot of people is you got to be confident, but you can't be cocky. That's where you get in trouble. So when I got in the field, I sometimes I knew something wasn't done right, or I wanted to do things a certain way. But again, like, they're senior techs for a reason, right? So I had to learn to follow them, and I'm like, you know what? When I get my own call, then it's on me, and I get to sink or swim basically when that does come. And it's not like, I don't know, because like today's day and age, there's always you see things on the internet, people trying to speak up, people trying to disturb something when or disturb a authority figure, stuff like that. You see that a lot now, right? But
Yeah.
like we said, like, you got to be coachable, you got to be willing to be under someone's wing or just trust a senior tech, because you're the new guy, you're the new tech, you haven't earned that yet. And there is levels to it, right? Like you said, and I've told people too, like, you work towards that seniority where you're the one that, like, okay, you go do this or you go do that, right? You got to earn that level, and that's kind of the way it works. I mean, speak up, because like I said, be confident, but don't be cocky.
Yeah, and trust me, there are enough people around that work in our craft, that teach our craft, that if you just buy into the process and do the things that you can control and do those well, we will find you.
Yeah.
Like we'll find you. And when we do find you, we will put our arm around you and we will not let you fail at this thing. But you have got to you've got to be willing to go get dirty and willing to get down and willing to fight for stuff. Um, I just, man, these young folks, one of the most offensive things that I hear in trade school from some of my students, because I'm very confrontational in that space. When I see a young technician come in and they are very lackadaisical and not taking it seriously, I tell them very directly, man, like, when you get in the field, you're gonna be forced to compete with men, and you're not developing that skill, and that's your greatest skill right now in school, where the playing field's equal. And these students, man, they'll tell me, well, when I get paid, that's when I'll turn it on and take it seriously. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, some of the best technicians I've worked with
Yeah.
have been under court order to come to work so that they can see their children. You're not going to just be able to flip a switch and compete with that mentality. When I failed out of trade school, for 6 months, I couldn't go back to school. I had to wait for the class rotation to come around. I went to Domino's and I made pizza in the neighborhood that I grew up in next to 16-year-olds as a 33-year-old man. You don't stand a chance if you think you're going to flip a switch day one in the field and compete with the mentality that that kind of embarrassment builds. I also worked at Home Depot overnight while I was doing that, stocking shelves, and I still have the needle mark in my arm from selling plasma while I was
Mm.
doing all that. Like, there's no switch that you're just going to turn on day one and be like, okay, now I'm competing. No, dude, we've already ran laps around you before you decided to turn that switch on. And so if if a young technician sees this and is starting to realize that this thing is hard, first of all, you're right.
It is.
You're right.
Yeah.
It is. But second of all, it's not impossible because I sit here, I'm all tatted up. I'm not this polished educational professional. Uh, I just keep showing up, having a good attitude, making connections, and keep running to the problem and getting there before anybody else. That's it. That's the whole formula. There's no other magic potion to this. Heck, I'm not even a great learner. I have to read, I have to write, I have to watch videos and do it before I can
Hmm.
get the concept. I, I spend I spend probably more hours listening to podcasts about my craft than I do actually working for that manufacturer. Like, because it's always a hunt. So if we can get you young folks to kind of develop that skill and sharpen it in school where the playing field's level, you're going to be a whole lot better coming out.
I've had those conversations where it's like, honestly, it's the technicians that don't try that, that get on my nerves, or I hate, working with or working against, whatever it is. Like, just try and put, and there has to be that initiative and care, because that was one thing that I did have going for me, was like, it would bother the hell out of me when I didn't know something. And like I said, I got that from my dad, but I would go home and try to study up on whatever it was that, like, I didn't get that day. And like you said, it's always a hunt. You gotta, that it's that hunger. You gotta want it too, because that's something you can't teach, right? As a educator yourself, that's something you can't teach. These kids gotta want it.
Yeah, and I'll keep it short on this. I'm a real believer in like masculinity, and I think that men specifically, I can't speak to the other experiences, but when you have something in front of you to chase and hunt, that's when you end up being the best version of yourself. Like there's something wired in you that I can't put words to it, but there's just a feeling about it where it becomes addictive, but it's not addictive day one because,
Yeah.
like I said, I failed out of school not realizing that I needed to chase something. Right?
Yeah, my
Go
whole
ahead. I'm
thing
sorry.
with that is I don't like being stagnant either. I'm never
Yeah,
satisfied. I'm never, once I learn something, I got to learn something else. I got to keep myself busy. And that might be why I like this trade so much, because that's a constant. There's always going to be something to learn. You're never going to be good at everything. You're going to fail. You're going to, have to pick yourself back up. You're going to have to, go through all these things just to be, good at your job. And that's, I mean, maybe that's what I like about it, but I just feel like I can't be stagnant. I always have to be doing something, and that's how my brain works.
let the good Lord strike me down right now if I'm lying, but it must have been 3 years before I actually fixed anything. I'm not kidding. It,
Yeah.
it it must have been 3 years of not calling in sick, running a route, 8 to 12 service calls, and not fixing a thing, and having to go back with senior techs to show me where I messed up at, or
Oh
show
yeah.
me that, like, I'm not even lying, man. Like, I've got videos on my phone saved in my Snapchat memories of me crying on a rooftop because I spent like 4 hours trying to figure out why a walk-in freezer was freezing, just to find out that they don't come field installed with defrost, and that
Hmm.
you or they don't come factory installed with defrost, and you have to wire those in the field. I didn't know that like 2.5 years in, and so I'm bawling my eyes out at 2 in the morning, so frustrated. And to you young technicians, are you ready to get into something and fail at it for 3 years before you actually feel as if you've earned your paycheck? Like,
See,
these are
that's
some
the
things
part.
you got to ask you that.
Yeah, these are the parts that you don't hear, because a lot of these kids. Because I've asked, some of the ones that have been on the show, like, how did you hear about HVAC? Like the ones that didn't have a family member in it or whatever. And all they do is Google search, and they find like Instagram. I'm like, okay. So like on Instagram, you're gonna see like all the good stuff, right? Like
Yeah.
none of the bad stuff. So there's plenty of that, dude, because I'm embarrassed of like the work that I did, my first 5, 6 years, maybe even more. I don't know. Like I'm embarrassed to go back to some of those jobs that I did, right? And like you said, sometimes you have to go back with somebody else and be like, this is what I did, and then they're like, you did it all wrong. Let's go through it again. So
I
I've
still
been,
get humbled to this day.
yeah. Oh, I know. I just had like,
Like,
and that's what I like about social media is like when I show something and I don't know something, I do get help in the comments. Like there's been times in the past few years where I'm like, I don't know what the hell I'm looking at, but I'm gonna try and figure it out, right? But I've had those days, like you said, those I would always consider it the first like half of my career, because I tell people, since I didn't apply myself in the beginning, it took me like 6, 7, maybe 8 years to actually like get it, and to be okay. I can do whatever, whatever is put in front of me now. It took me a long time. I feel like some kids get it quicker, but I've had those days where I'm working 6, 8 hours and then it gets dark out and I'm like, I still can't figure this crap out. Like you're gonna have those frustrating moments and you got to get through those. Like I'll never forget those days. Now it's always a memory. It's always a lesson learned, and that's the way you have to kind of think about it.
I think it's so cool that you and your dad and your brothers all came up in the trade. That you know, a guy, a single guy, 40 years old, that came into this and stuff. That's what I chase, and that's what keeps me up from 4 in the morning and going through HVAC till midnight, is just to have the chance to be able to leave something like that behind, where it's
See,
cousins doing this thing with me, and it's me training the cousins, me training the uncle, the nephews, and the kids,
yeah,
and all that stuff, and just I think that's really cool.
I just
So,
started thinking about that as well, like not too long ago. Like how cool is that, right? Like you get
yeah,
because one of the things that I always want to get to, and I forget to ask sometimes. It's like what do you, like legacy. I think that was one of the topics that we had like on this show like a long time ago. Like, what do you want your legacy to be, right? Like you're you and you do whatever it is that you do, whatever part of the field that you're in, but like are you helping others, are you affecting anybody else? Like that's always the cool part. So when I came into the trade, everybody was competition and I hated it. I was miserable, right? Trying to learn from people and everybody's like gatekeeping and crap. And then you go to the supply house and you're trying to be like nice to everybody and they hate you because you're the competition, right? You're a competitor. And I always hated that. So now when I'm out there, I try to be, I'm the older tech now. I try to be nice to everybody. Like, oh, what's up? Like, how's work? How's this? Whether it's in person or on social media, I try to be that way with everybody because it's a culture thing, right? Like before, I think it was worse before. I think now it's getting better, but um, everybody hated each other when I got into the trade. Like all different trades, all different companies, and I just never understood that. It's different.
it is. So the only thing that I want to accomplish with just the way I am, how brash I am online, like I'm online, I talk a lot of trash online. Look, at the
I
end
know
of the
I know
day,
guys I know guys that are like that, like you and stuff, but if it's
yeah,
from a good place, I love it because you got to
it
be
is.
real with these people. Like I've had guys that I work behind and I'm like, what were you thinking? Like, you can't sugarcoat everything.
It is from a good place, and my whole thing that I want to do and am going to do is, man, I want as many people in our trade as possible, and I want to be their biggest cheerleader. I want to be their biggest support. I want to push myself to learn this the best that I can, so that they can use me as a resource. There are a lot of things that I've gone through in life that have prepared me for what I do professionally now. And I mean, any way you want to slice it, my parents are 16 years older than me. Um, Grew up in a bad environment, drugs, prisons, all that. I've got a criminal record. Any way you want to slice it, man. Drug addictions and all that. And so I just want to live as proof that um, it's only over if you decide that it's over. And so what do I mean? I mean that your life is over and done, and you can quit whenever you decide to quit, and then everybody gets to be right about you for the rest of your life. Or that crap that you're out here doing, it's over when you decide that it's over. And if you decide that you want to do something to the best of your ability, it's here in front of you. Like like we keep talking about, control what you can control. All you have to do is keep showing up to work every day. It is really hard to show up through the brutal Texas summers. And we lose a lot of people throughout the summer that can't make it. All you have to do is outlast them. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
So when you decide that whatever you're doing, the crap that you're into, that you're done and you've hit rock bottom with it, cool. Come get in the trade and come get ready to work. and quit whining and step up, because like I'm here in front of you, man. I work for a big manufacturer, and it's the best job I've ever had. And we do some of the coolest things that I wish I could tell you about. But the stuff we work on is not available for sale on the market yet. So I'm not at liberty to discuss that. But
Yeah.
just, like, it blows my mind because I legit spent 3 years not fixing nothing. And I can't believe that they allow me to touch this stuff. And like, you know what I mean? And I can't believe that people pay me to teach people how to do anything other than terrorize their community or destroy their own lives. So, like, and I'm all tatted up and bald headed, and I don't speak with the proper grammar. I do a lot of y'all and cussing and hooting and hollering and stuff. But at the end of the day, I'm in all those rooms, right?
Hmm.
I'm in all the rooms with the educators. Why? Because I keep showing up with a positive attitude, sitting front and center, taking notes, asking questions. First one in, last one out. That's all I do. I'm not smarter than nobody else. So y'all can do that too. That's
Yeah.
the, you
Yeah,
know.
man. It's life is what you make of it, right? Like everybody has struggles, everybody has some crap that they go through. And
Yeah.
like, are you gonna keep, pushing through, or are you gonna keep, going after what you want to go after? And I've seen and I've heard so many success stories just in the trades, because a lot of it is stuff that you can control as long as you try harder every day, show up every day. You're you're gonna move. You're gonna go places. You're gonna do things. And the one of it's one of the comparisons or sayings that I say, it's and I have to explain it because it's like, it's not one of those, fake it till you make it exactly, but like, you gotta try, like, even if you're not like what you should look like, I guess, for whatever position you want. You gotta act like you want it. You gotta act the part to get the part. Like that's always what it is. And like you said, show up every day, want it, and you can get it.
Yeah, and my story is not unique. I tell this to my students all the time. I'm not this one of one. This trade is littered with people who have similar things, and anybody who's entering our trade who thinks that, like, I'm just gonna throw a felon out there. I'm a felon. I can't do this, dude. Stop. You're not the first felon in our trade that's been successful who has a contracting business. Like, there's literally, you are not the first one to be on child support with three baby moms. Like, you're
Hmm.
not the first guy that's gone to divorce court. Half this country goes to divorce court. So, like, I just, this thing that I love is a way out. I'm living proof of it. And if you need a way out, it's here for you. But the thing is, you ain't gonna just take it from a guy like me. You're not gonna take it from me. I'm not gonna just give it to you. You've got to come work for it and pry it out of my cold dead hands. Right?
Hmm.
Not literally, because I'm a teacher, right? So, but that mentality exists throughout our entire craft. Like, you're gonna have to take that from some hardened individuals who have no other options, right? Like, most of
Yeah.
us, like myself included, didn't grow up aspiring to be a wrench turner in HVAC, right? I was gonna be a DJ, right? That's what I was gonna
Hmm.
do. Suddenly, I looked up at 32 years old, and I suddenly didn't have any other options. This was it, right? This was gonna work, or I was, you know, I'd probably be a drug addict and a drug peddler if this didn't work, right? A little small time nickel and dime in and out of jail. That's probably the life I was heading for, you know. So a man that has no options, can you compete with that? And I'll tell you what, the best way for you to be able to compete with that is if you show up on time, front and center, take notes, right? Be a
And
helpful helper.
it's like you said, man. It's not impossible, but you
Yeah.
gotta. But it's not easy. You gotta go after it. And like I said, and even the mentor I had was not, a squeaky clean guy either, but he was the most knowledgeable that I knew because he always tried to learn everything. He always like, got out there and tried, and I learned a lot from him. And I've had so many guys on here that, they go through different situations, whether it's prison, drug addiction. Like I've heard so many stories like that. And guess what they're doing now? They're running their own business, or they have a high profile job in the trade because they turned their life around.
Dude, they're in every office. I mean, I can't speak to other markets, but Texas, Dallas specifically, there's one in every office. Every person that you're buying parts with at the supply houses, they're in there too. You're standing shoulder to shoulder with them. You're standing around people who are proven success stories that are out here providing an honest living for their families, and you can get that too. It's we're not trying to keep it from you. Um, we're not like none of that. We just come in here and get it. We need your help. We want your help. You have a
Yeah.
lot of men willing, a lot of people willing to teach you and train you. You just gonna have to get your mind right and stop letting these people lie to you about what you can and can't do, and stop being your own biggest hater. I might be saying it a different way, but he probably told you some of the same things. Like it's not, it's an old man to a young man kind of thing.
See, he
Like
he would
you
throw me
gotta,
out in the fire, and he's like, "Figure it out." Like, I mean, that's how I learned. And even my dad, as far as like, these stories, he didn't finish high school. He didn't, get a higher education, and here he is running a business 20 years in and doing really well for himself, right? Like, he's always gotten in trouble when he was younger. He's always been that tough guy, and he got that from my grandfather. Grandfather was a tough guy too. Go to the bar and get into fights and everything, like, but these guys were successful, like, because they wanted to be. Grandfather was a mechanic, my dad was an electrician. He's like, hey, and that's another thing, man. And that's why mentors are so important, right? Like, I'm lucky that my dad was sort of that for me, growing up. Now, he never pushed trades on me. He never wanted to make me do anything. Like, my parents kind of let me do what I wanted to do up until, like, they were like, you might want to consider a trade. Um, so like growing up in high school is when he made the switch from electrician to food service. Now, my dad didn't know anything about food service. I mean, he was an electrician, so he knew how to work with tools and stuff, but I saw him in the books every day trying to pick that up as quickly as he could. And having the mentality to, if I don't know it, I'm going to find the answer. I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to learn it somehow. Did all the trainings that he could, and worked his way up, and he was technician of the year, then he was the supervisor, then he was the branch manager, and then he ran the business. And then there was a little fallout because he had wanted to start his own business, and they're like, well, we're gonna fire you and this and that. Like, there was a whole other situation, but like that made him start early. But that's where I learned all that from, was you know how to try hard and make a success story out of yourself, basically.
I love hearing stuff like that. That stuff fires me up. Like it's man, it just speaks to a mentality that I love so much. Where it's like you're not taking no for an answer. Like, are you gonna fire me? Yeah, you know what? Cool. I'm gonna do it anyway. Like, I love that. I love stuff like that, man. That stuff really gets my
Yeah, I
blood
got
pumping. And just
I
man,
I was working I think I was working a grocery job at that time, and he called me. He's like, well, I'm gonna need you to pick me up. They took my van, and he had his box full of like stuff. I was like, what did you
man.
do? um and yeah, man, I was there when he started. He didn't know. See, the thing is, I've always, because I mean, I'll get into this when when I talk business. I've been asked to do like some business podcasts, but like I feel like we've been winging it. I mean, it's all about your mentality, and I try to have a positive mindset on everything. Um, I don't like to think about negatives. I don't like to occupy any of my time with that. But my dad didn't know anything about food service. Got into it did the best that he could with that company and then moved on, right? And then when he got thrown into that business situation where he opened up a business, he doesn't know how to run a business. He knew how to turn wrenches, right? And
Yeah.
we struggled sometimes, but we made it work. And there's gonna be hard times and low times. And are you gonna quit? Are you gonna go do something else? Are you gonna get a different job because hey, it didn't work out in the first month? Or you're gonna stick with it? That I think that translates, because I've talked about this. Whether you're a business owner or just a new technician, there are those rough times, those patches. But you gonna stick with it, or are you gonna give up?
What's in you? Like, is it gonna make you or break you? Right? Like, are you one of those people that you'll bend, right, but you'll never fold?
And what's like? I know we had some notes here, but expectations, right? That's another thing. Like, what are the expectations that the I don't want to say young techs, but like the generation now getting in, right?
So,
Is because that's another question I get a lot, is like the pay and the expectations. Like, it's not easy. It's not. You're not going to get a high paying job either when you start. And like you mentioned earlier, you got to take it from these guys. Nobody's going to give it to them. I mean, that's another thing.
entry level techs. That's what I try to say. Male and female. Look, the if in case nobody's told you, the hours are long, the work environment's miserable, and as an added bonus, the pay sucks too.
Hmm.
Okay, it does. At the end of the day, all of these jobs pay the same, which is not enough. And you can DM me on any social media platform the day you actually hear somebody say this. Pay attention next time. Have you ever heard anybody say, you know what, I think I make an appropriate amount of money for what I do? I'm satisfied. Have you ever heard anybody say that? You ever cross paths with anybody say that?
No.
Okay. So all these jobs pay the same, not enough. Nobody's satisfied with what they make. Um, my viewpoint on that is if you're going to chase dollars, you're going to be disappointed at this. Um, the dollars, I mean, gosh, I've been in it for 8 years. The dollars are barely starting to get good 8 years in.
Hmm.
Okay, and to the point where I currently have more than I've ever had. Yeah, you're gonna. Unfortunately, there are certain companies that you're gonna start with where you can make more at Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Um,
there's fast food that you're competing with, but like at the end of the day, do you want to learn a skill that you can take with you for life, or do you want to go flip a burger, for lack of better words?
I got two cell phones. I've got probably 600 contacts saved between the two phones. I could go through that right now and give you five, 6 dozen people who have way out earned what they ever thought they were going to earn in HVAC, myself included. Right?
You
The
just don't start there, because and that's also because of like certain advice they get from people. Because my whole thing is, there you see those people sometimes and they're like, yeah, get into the trade, you can make all the money you want, you can be rich, you can have X, Y, and Z and so many vehicles. And like you said, if you're chasing dollars, you're not gonna be happy. See, I took a pay cut from a grocery store. I was making more at a grocery store than I was making when I started with my dad. And that's my dad, right? He wants to take care of me, right? But I took a
he did
pay
that to
cut.
you on purpose.
Well, he did it for too long. That was for like the first 8 years. Uh, so I made little to nothing, and I just made my penny. I made my dollar stretch. I made everything. I don't live extravagant lives or anything. Like I got by, and I had a family. I had a son, kind of young, but I bought a house. I did everything I needed to. Like I had what I needed, and I always bring that up because I took a pay cut. I knew most likely that it was going to be a good career and it was going to pay off much later. And then now, when I've talked to a lot of older guys, my age and older, you don't really care about the dollars too much, right? I mean, you got to pay the bills, you got to do what you got to do, but a lot of us want our time, like our free time, our family time. There's more things. When you're younger, you might be chasing dollars, but that doesn't always. That's not always what you're gonna want. That's always not always gonna make you happy. And I mean, eventually you do get it.
As an instructor that loves what he does, I think that we could do a better job of reminding entry level technicians that uh, there's nothing free in this country. And HVAC
Never.
didn't magically develop the formula where you get something for free. That we're not smart enough as a whole to do that. So they forget the other part of it with more money, more expectations, and more responsibilities. So if you demonstrate that you can handle more responsibility, your pay will rise with your increased responsibility. That's the way our thing works. So, in my opinion, if you can focus on developing your skills and bringing value to an HVAC contractor's business, the pay will come with that. But we're not going to just pay you because you got the nicest jeans on or the cleanest work boots. Like, what are we giving you this money for? It's to do a
Yeah.
job. And if you're a guy like me who hadn't fixed anything in 3 years, you think that you're going to get the pay raises that you want? No. You have to be productive and be an income earner for that company. So it's great to have the ambitions of like, man, I want to make 100K. Everybody's caught up on 100K a year as if that is going to take you out of like struggling in this country, right? But that's another conversation. Your skills have to match whatever your income is. And so if you're entry level at 18 and you go get another job and you're suddenly making 25, guess what? I'm not expecting you to do the same things that you were doing at the $18 an hour rate. I'm expecting you to do that and more. These youngsters forget about that, man. They forget that more money, more problems, or more money, more expectations. So if you can get away from worrying about the money part of it and just worry about your skills and your training when you get to these companies, the income they'll find you with the money. Trust me, they'll find you. They really will. I mean, the dollar amount. Okay, let's put that to the side. You know how long it's been since I've called a company to like come do anything for me? I
Oh
do it all
yeah.
myself. And if I need flooring done, guess what? I've ran across enough tradesmen. I know 8 or 9 flooring guys. I know drywall guys. I know electricians. I know real plumbers. Like any kind of trade, you cross paths with them and you save money on stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Your ability to fix stuff for your family is invaluable. You cannot put a price on that stuff.
Oh yeah. And they'll
You know,
they'll they'll ask you all the time to fix something, but um,
we never tell the entry level techs that stuff. They get caught up in the dollars, and we're right there to feed them a pipe dream. Like, oh yeah, 250,000 a year, blah 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 blah. It's like, hey man, like
and
there's a lot of stuff to this that you can't put a price on.
and everybody's different because I'm very happy being a small business. I'm very happy making what I'm making. My family is comfortable. We're all taken care of. I got 2 kids. I do want to, pass skills on to them and kind of teach them some things because I think that's, like you said, valuable for other things, right? Like I mentioned earlier, I've never did any kind of a trade before I got into like trade school. I can't tell you how many times I've worked on my own car now. I've changed
Oh
out.
yeah,
I never worked on cars before, even though my grandfather was a mechanic. But I never touched anything. But once I felt comfortable with the HVAC trade, I fixed the AC in one of my cars. I replaced a radiator. I replaced brakes and different things. And I always worked on my own vehicle. That's just something that I got into. But it was after I got into HVAC because I got comfortable fixing things, and I was like, okay, now I got another skill. Now you got skills to fix things around the house, like you said, and it it's something that you build on infinitely. It's just thing after thing that you can add to it.
it's a career, and for me, it's ended up being a lifestyle
Yeah.
where it's if you never stop learning, you never stop pushing yourself with that stuff, you never stop. I just changed my garbage disposal, and granted, that's like the easiest thing to do, right? But it's another example of just I don't have to call anybody to solve my problems. Like when it comes to the house, or the car, or uh, your significant other goes to the car in the morning and the car won't start.
Hmm.
Well, now you've developed the skills through your career where you're comfortable grabbing jumper cables and giving that car a jump so that your significant other can get to work. Little
Yeah,
things like that we forget about.
I'm not gonna lie. When like before I was in the trade, I would call my dad for everything.
Yeah,
Like I don't know how
right.
to do this.
It suddenly, if the young technicians can just trust the process, you come through the doors and you meet me in Dallas, Texas, at a trade college, and you're 20 years old, right? If you trust the process, 10 years from that point, suddenly that's you doing all that stuff. Changing battery out, changing the oil, changing belts on the car, making sure the significant others are right and straight, changing the heating element in your dryer, or fixing the water leaks in the attic. Like that's you
Oh
doing
yeah,
that. It comes. It
yeah. I've
comes
I've
and
I've done washers and dryers and all that around here too, um and my dad always has this saying that I hated because he was like, "Well, what are you gonna do when I'm not here anymore? Like, what are you gonna?" I'm like, "Don't remind me about that." But
yeah,
he's
yeah.
like, "You gotta learn this stuff. You gotta learn these life skills and how to fix things, right? Like, it's always beneficial to you to learn these skills and build upon them and all that." But that was always my dad. That every time I called him for something, he's like, "What are you gonna do when I'm not here? What are you gonna do without me?"
And what's so cool about that stuff, in my opinion, is that when you start talking about money and numbers and stuff, uh, when you get to that point where you can handle those things in your house and you have the skill set that has these tentacles that you can handle all kinds of problems that ain't even HVAC, suddenly you're in a rarefied air. You're last of a dying breed, man. And when you reach that kind of point where there's not many of your type, now guess what? Now you can start kind of making those demands on that income that you're talking about, right?
Oh yeah.
You know, because you look around and you're like, suddenly there's not a lot of people who can fix the kind of things I fix. And so now you're valuable. That's what we're talking about with your skills and all that. But you've got to trust the process and go through it and develop it. And the only way that you develop it, in my opinion, is through failure. The whole goal is to honestly just kind of be this like beacon where it's like, hey, this lifestyle is very fruitful. You might want to kind of invest in this, and as much as you invest into your DraftKings or whatever it is, the sports betting that these kids are doing or young people are doing, you know, it's a great thing. It's provided, your father, for example, it's three generations that it's impacting now, right? Him,
And
you, and his grand.
I can't wait to teach it to my kids.
Yeah, it's the ability. This thing can allow you to uproot your entire family tree and put it in a different
Oh,
environment.
that was gonna be my point earlier. I forgot. My dad got into it, like I told you, right? Food service.
Yeah,
We have two uncles that came to work for my dad. One did car alarms and one did like odd end jobs, like I think like flooring or something, like whatever he could get picked up to do, right?
yeah,
My dad taught them food service, and then we taught them a little bit of HVAC. Now they have these careers that are paying them like hella good. Like one works for a school district. The other one came back to work for us, but he was working at other places to to do bigger things. And I was like, man, my dad gave them a whole new life there because they weren't happy at those other jobs, and they weren't doing as well as they are now, and now they're set. And that makes me think about, like, you know I've helped my brother get into it. We're helping apprentices right now. We have one that came from nursing who's doing fantastic. I didn't think he was going to last, to be honest, but he's been great. And he's one of those that always asks questions, always wants to get in there and get his hands dirty, and he's running his own calls now. That's all it takes. Like, as long as you soak it up and ask questions, you're going to do well. And it got me thinking, and I've been thinking about for a while, that I never want to be a big company, but if I can take apprentices and give them their 1 year, 2 year experience, and then they move on, I wouldn't mind that either, because I'm not trying to have like 40 trucks out there like some people. I'm okay with being a small business, but I mean, I wouldn't mind like help during the summer, help for a year, and then kind of getting them that experience. Because that's another message I get a lot of is nobody wants to give me the experience. I'm like, well, hell, I'll give you a year's worth. Just come in the door, help me put some units in, and you can go on to a different job. Like I want to start some sort of apprentice program, and we've had success with the guys that we have right now.
The guys you've had success with, they should be celebrated, right? Like it's not easy to switch from nursing into our thing and then come and kind of be successful at it. We should kind of celebrate them. And uh, you know, same. I've found that I get my most pleasure in my life seeing a young person gain confidence in my classrooms. I love that. You meet them, they walk through the door, they're shy, they're soft spoken, they've never had tools, and then 6 months later, you see them, and you're like, I pull them aside and pull them into the office and I say kind things to them, like, hey man, I've watched you come to class every day for 6 months. I've watched you grow, and I just wanted to tell you that, man, you're doing awesome. And if you just keep that spirit when you get out of school, man, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. And you should see their eyes light up. It's almost as if nobody's ever said anything positive to them in their
Yeah,
entire life. And so I kind of want to stay in this space where 2 to 3 years, and once you're out of 2 to 3 years, hey man, go fly, go. You need to go with another company. You need to go do some serious training now and start doing your technical stuff. Because I think after 2 or 3 years, then you finally are competent enough to show up on time.
yeah.
Like if you ain't figured it out in 3 years, then I don't think you ain't ever gonna figure it out at that point. Just being on time,
Yeah.
right? But
Yeah, I mean that's a good
it,
point because that I think that's always a hard part is getting your foot in the door or getting that experience, and giving somebody a shot to learn it. Because like I said, I didn't expect much from the guys that we got, but they've been great. And the other two are like kids, like they were seniors or whatever, like they're 18, and I'm like, damn, like they really want it. They always volunteer to do the dirty work. So I'm like, yeah, I love seeing that too. And that's kind of what I enjoy about it, where I can kind of sit back a little bit and kind of just train or teach going forward.
well, I think that probably speaks a lot to you as a trainer for them. I'm a guy that likes to point the finger inward instead of outward, and I see a lot of educators that when a student washes out or something that they weren't tough, and it's always their fault, their problem. And I
Yeah,
think yours, if they're doing good, it's and they're eager, it's because they're comfortable being that there. Like it's encouraged. There's something about the environment that makes them willing to kind of be that risk taker without the fear of failure. So good on you, right?
it's okay to fail. I always tell them like just try, and if you run into problems, call me. I'll bail you out. But if they can run their own calls, if they can soak it up and they can learn, man, they are worth so much to that business. And we have a senior tech that knows everything now. He got his feet into HVAC. He did well with it, and he's doing a lot of those calls with us. But he also brought over skills of like working on commercial dryers and washers because now we do hotels. And I'm like, dude, you're worth so much to us just because you've learned so much, in your career, and we can have you here, and it's a big benefit to us.
That's cool. I got a buddy who's homeschooling his children, and so we had a conversation, and it dawned on me during our conversation this weekend that hey, your kids are like 12 and 10 and stuff. Like I got a bunch of projects from HVAC. Like you think I can borrow your kids at your garage and like try these experiments out and see how they like them and teach you how to do it and all that? So we're trying to get into that too, where we're doing science projects with his homeschool children and kind of teaching them a little bit like just simple math, right?
That's
Like
cool.
take these screws, give me four of them, and then give me four more. That's eight. Okay, and slowly walk them through building an electrical trainer using just basic bare level stuff, right? Like for example, 1.5 inches, right? So now you teach them 1.5 inch, how to read a tape measure, how to do addition off of that. Okay, hey, guess what? Measure that on this board, and then here in 6 months, when you get a little bigger, we'll let you cut this board. So we got
That's
some
cool.
stuff like that. Yeah, the kids part of it's kind of fun, and it's kind of that's
That's
cool,
always
man.
a
I
hard
like what
part.
y'all are doing.
Yeah, that's always a hard part because even like I remember when I started, um, since I never touched tools like that, like I was second guessing myself where I was like, "Ah, I don't know, like everything was like you were scared to do things until you, like you said, like months later, you've done it enough and then you get it. So that's kind of cool with the head start on that, with younger kids. Cause, I did have another, helper and they have like some sort of trade trade school built into their high school. Like, I don't know how that works. I didn't have that growing up, but like, they're teaching trades in high school and stuff. So he has a head start on that. I was like, that's cool. He came and helped us and he wants to come back for like Christmas break and stuff like that. I'm like, yeah, whenever you want to.
Man, so I went to middle school in the late 1900s. I was in 1998. I was in seventh or eighth grade. We had shop class back then. That's where I learned how to be a welder.
I
Was
was gonna
in
say
middle school.
I think we did have welding, but that was about it. And I think I took there was another one, architecture. I tried that out for a bit
Oh,
because one of my uncles was a architect, and I thought I wanted to do that, and I was like, no, this is not for me.
we built like we built out of propane tanks. We built barbecue pits. My dad
Mm,
had that barbecue pit up until like 5 years ago. Like, he had it for like over 20 years.
damn.
So yeah, that's cool. That's really cool. I kind of wish we'd bring that back. I've kind of dabbled at telling people this, but I've enrolled in college. I am an active college student at the moment,
That's
and
not
so
easy,
this
man.
it's my time is super thin. This time next year, I'll have a bachelor's degree in science to go with my associate's degree in science, and the whole reason I ain't gonna lie to you, I decided to do it so that my students who say that school and life is too hard and all that, I got another thing to be able to kind of dangle in front of you and say, yeah, hey, stop talking to me about life being hard. Like, not only have
Yeah,
I lived the same kind of life you have, the whole time I've been teaching you, I've been a student. So, like, if I can do that stuff online and then all that, there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to do it. Because I'm an average student with the
that's
story
cool.
of wasted potential. So most of us in our trade are average students, to be honest with you. Most of the guys that I work with or people that I work with, I'm not working with rocket scientists. I'm working with just rugged people that turned wrenches and kept learning and kept getting better. That's all it is. Experience. It's not high IQs and perfect SAT scores. If that was the case, we all would have went to MIT instead of TSTC, to be honest with you. So,
That's cool, man. That's good to hear. And that always, and I hear things like that all the time, and it's just like you said, if you really put your mind to it, you can do it, and there's no excuse, right? It's just
it's not.
it's just yourself and what you can control, and a lot of it you can.
I know it's cliche and a lot of people roll their eyes, and it's all about you, and okay, but I mean it really honestly is. Young folks, nobody's coming to save you, right? Whatever situation that you're in, so you got to be about something. And if you're in this thing that I love, this trade, all I can tell you is if you be about this trade, it's gonna open doors for you. Like all my favorite educators that I obsessed over every piece of content that they put out. Man, I've met them. I've taken their classes. I've been in the same room as them. Like there's no limit to where this thing can end up taking you, man. Like I said, I have the coolest job ever. Like two of the coolest jobs ever, actually.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'll just hey, be about something. Stand up for something. Go hard at this the way you go hard at every new DLC pack that comes out. It's
that's
like
true. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying, man?
Well,
Every
these yeah
time a TSP passes,
these kids will know exactly what you're talking about.
they know what I'm
Um,
talking about.
I don't want to keep you too long. We've been here over an hour already. Time usually flies by. I think it was a great conversation, something that people need to hear. So I appreciate you for sitting down and kind of telling your story and going through everything that we went through.
Hey, I appreciate you having me, and I'm preparing for doing this myself. And when I do, would love to have more conversations with you, on and offline. By the way,
Yeah. I was gonna
I just think
say. I
it's
mean,
really
I feel like
cool.
we could have talked about a bunch of things, but yeah,
I
man,
think it's really
keep in.
cool that y'all got a family thing going on down there. Like that's, I'm
And some
telling you,
people say
that's what we're striving
yeah,
for.
some people say that they can't work with family. I'm like, I love working, for my dad, and that I'll get to pass or get the company, pass it to mine, hopefully, and keep that going. Because I've had so many offers. You know how everybody's buying up HVAC companies left and right, like all these forgot what you call them, but um private equity and all that. Like I've had so many offers. I'm like, you're not taking that from me. I'm like, that's mine. I'm sorry.
That should be a whole conversation, because what I've seen is a lot of my friends and stuff, before they've even had a chance to develop as their own small business, they're fielding offers from big corporations trying to gobble them up, and
Yeah.
it's, man, it's a thing, even up here in Dallas too. And yeah, that we should have that conversation, because I'm kind of scared about what the future of our thing looks like. The more that it
I
gets corporate,
yeah, I don't like the way it's going, but it is, and it's a little scary. But like you said, control what you can control, and I'm not giving up, this company and doing what we're doing here. And because some people do sell and then they just start it up later. I was like, no, like this is a what I touched on earlier, like legacy. This is mine. I think I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna move, pass it on as well, and see where it goes.
your quality techs are, they're not found, they're made in house. And the one thing that allows us to be competitive on a smaller scale is most of these big corporations aren't investing in the training. How do I know?
Oh, I
Because I
have.
run into them in the field. I run into
I
them
was
in the
gonna
field.
say. I was gonna say I've gone behind so many. Yeah.
So there's opportunity to train your own and kind of be this like this little ninja taking calculated strikes, poking the bear here and there.
Yeah,
and
man.
and they can't do nothing about it, because your work quality is so much better than theirs. You know.
Yeah. There's no way around it.
Yeah,
Um.
I appreciate it, man. It was good talking to you. Thank you for having me. And just anytime you're passing through the Metroplex, reach out. Uh, we do tours at the facility where I work at. So if
Okay.
you're in the Metroplex, give me a big enough heads up. I can put you down, and they'll give you a tour of that lab.
Well, I would love that, man. I have
Facility is so
buddies
cool.
that are like in Austin and Dallas, so I'll have to hit you up.
Yes, sir.
Um.
Absolutely.
Again, thanks for coming on, and everybody watching and listening. I appreciate you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next time.